Regular meeting number 27 will now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Dorns, would you please lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, Council is pleased to have again with us Imam Hurset Noah from the Abdukar Islamic Center. Imam, welcome back to Council.
Let's pray. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, known by many names and beyond all names, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of community, Spirit of justice, all praise is due to God who has brought all of us together here today. We ask God that He showers us, our families, and our loved ones with never-ending blessing and mercy. We ask that He preserves the health and safety of our community. We ask that He always keeps our heart open to understanding one another and makes us leaders of good who always stand up against hate and injustice in all of its forms. May He allow us to be agents of positive change for as long as we are here on this earth. May He make us sincere servants, serving Him and His people through our work. We pray for peace, not war, love, not hate, benevolence, not greed, unity, and not division. We hope that through our work, we send peace and love to our community and our fellow human beings. Dear God, we ask your blessing on the people who have been called to lead this community in which we live and work. May He accept all of our efforts for good. Glory be to God. We praise Him and seek His help and forgiveness. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Amen. Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hart. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of City Council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
This week's communications received by the City Clerk's office are listed in the agenda and will be published on the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there resolutions by members of Council, starting with Councilmember Liz Brown?
No. Am I supposed to be doing my zoo ordinance first, however?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry.
May I proceed with
Please.
just out of order, because we have animals in attendance?
We're going to pull a piece from regular agenda and read that ordinance now, right?
Great.
Great.
Thank you,
Yes,
Council
ma'am.
President. Tonight, we have ordinance 1224-2019. So if Tom Stauff and his entourage would like to come to the podium. Thank you. Oh, wow. That is a cool bird. We have Ordinance 1224-2019 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into a contract with the Columbus Zoological Park Association to provide transportation, shirts, and novelties for children from the Recreation and Parks Playground Program to the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium as a part of the Melvin B. Dodge Summer Zoo Days. It is a yearly tradition for us to welcome some very special guests to City Hall as we renew this partnership between Recreation and Parks and the Columbus Zoo. Summer Zoo Days is an exciting opportunity for about 2,400 children in the playground program across 30 playgrounds throughout Columbus to experience the Columbus Zoo free of charge. Director Collins, or Deputy Director Rakowski, actually, thank you to the department. I know this is a fun program to talk about and to see here, visit us in chambers. But it takes also a lot of work from the staff to put together. So I now would like to turn the microphone over to President and CEO.
Thank you, President Harden, council members. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk today. We do have some animals that I would love for you to go enjoy. Ashton is holding a young wallaby. A wallaby is a macropod, which is related to kangaroos, but much smaller. They're found in Australia. This is a young joey. And a beautiful animal that you're able to get real close to. You can give it a pet. Tommy is holding the largest parrot in the world. That's a hyacinth macaw. And we're very proud at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium that we have a new television show through Nat Geo Wild called Secrets of the Zoo. And this parrot here was a star on Secrets of the Zoo. Unfortunately, in a bad situation down south in a different state, I think it was in Alabama, where the animal was confiscated and given a great home at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, and a great story from going from a very sick bird to a very healthy bird. The parrots are found in Brazil. Like I said, the largest parrot in the world, unfortunately an endangered species. And we are doing everything we can to save the plants and animals of this earth. And we have over 100 different conservation projects in 42 different countries. But today, I do want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to honor Mel Dodge and to continue giving children throughout the city of Columbus, an opportunity to be inspired about wildlife and wild places. They do have a great opportunity. 2,600 students have free transportation. They have free lunch. They get a free backpack. And they also have 2 rides in Jungle Jack's Landing. It's about creating smiles and inspiring kids to care about wildlife and wild places. And I want to thank you all for continuing this tradition, honoring Mel Dodge, and supporting the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. We can't be the #1 zoo without you, and we really appreciate your support.
Thank you so much. You did a really good job filling all the space so that we could take pictures appropriately all throughout your speech. Thank you. It's incredible that you are able to bring animals down every year so that we can do this, and we have a lot of fun with it. But truly, it's the programming that we're so thankful for, and the special relationship that the zoo has with our Recreation and Parks Department. As a little aside, I remember last year when it was Zoo Day at Council, and you brought a baby kangaroo, and it was about the same size as my newborn son. And it had like a sling in the same way that mamas wear their babies. And I had a minute there where I was standing and holding the kangaroo and looked and got very alarmed because he looked very different from my infant son. So thank you very much. Is there anything my council members, my colleagues would like to say or ask? All right. Well,
Thank you.
Seeing no further questions from colleagues, I would like to move to waive second reading.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Waived.
And now I move for passage.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Mitch Brown.
Thank you, Council President. At this time, I have one resolution this evening. First, I would ask Fire Chief Kevin O'Connor and Dr. David Kessick and Mr. Joseph Hiles and members of the Division of Fire to please approach the podium. I have Resolution 0173X 2019 to designate May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week and celebrate 50 years of EMS in Columbus. Whereas in April 1969, Columbus began administering emergency medical services to its residents through the development of the Columbus Hartmobile program, a partnership between the Columbus Division of Fire and The Ohio State University. And whereas emergency medical service providers perform a vital public service with over 1,500 members of the Columbus Division of Fire providing life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas the members of the Columbus Division of Fire are highly trained paramedics that have the most current training and state-of-the-art equipment so that they can manage any emergency medical situation that they may encounter. And whereas the emergency medical service system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, and administrators. And whereas it is important to recognize the value and accomplishments and the sacrifices and the selfless contributions of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Service Week, now and therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council does hereby designate May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week and celebrates 50 years of EMS in Columbus and expresses gratitude to all the members of the Columbus Division of Fire for their outstanding contributions to the safety and well-being of the citizens of Columbus. I move for adoption.
Please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Adopted.
And before I invite our speakers to give comments, I would just like to give you a reference for how long we've recognized EMS Week. The United States first observed EMS Week in November 1974 when it was declared by then President Gerald Ford. At this particular time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Dr. Kessick.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. President Harden, members of City Council, Director Speaks, and City Administration officials and distinguished guests. Thanks so much for this gracious resolution commemorating EMS Week here in Columbus, Ohio. Our city has a rich legacy of groundbreaking innovations in the field of EMS, dating all the way back 50 years when we unveiled the first Hartmobile and started taking advanced cardiac care to the patient. Today, Columbus is blessed to have one of the best EMS systems in the world, with over 130,000 EMS calls per year and 40 to 50,000 transports to hospital emergency departments. Our EMS providers take care of a wide diversity of complaints, including chest pain, asthma, trauma, cardiac arrests, and other life-threatening injuries and illnesses. Lives are saved, outcomes are affected favorably every day due to our high-quality EMS providers. The support and devotion of you and our fire city leaders have allowed us to develop one of the best EMS services in the world. So thank you for this gracious recognition of true everyday heroes that impact our lives and our community each and every day. And to put a face on what these folks do, I would like to take a pleasure in introducing to you Mr. Joseph Hiles, who has a few words to say about his experience with Columbus Fire EMS. Mr. Hiles?
I'd like to begin by thanking Dr. Kessick for the invitation to be a part of the week, kicking off to honor all these men and women that run these EMS squads for our fire department. I'm a living testimony of their training and their skill. Last September, my son and I were leaving the Tennis Center at Scarborough, and in the parking lot, I collapsed with a heart attack. And I learned later that I was in very dire straits. My eyes were fixed, I quit breathing, heart stopped, no pulse. And my son, Brent Hiles, was with me, kind of took over the situation. By the way, he is a firefighter for Columbus. He rides with paramedics a lot, assist. I was Station 19, Unit 3, I believe. But he, from all accounts that I learned, he kind of ripped off my shirt, started compressions, sent the owner who walked out with us in to get an AED, which he hooked up, and started shocking me to get my heart started. At this time, I think the squad from Station 32 arrived and kind of got me on the gurney and into the ambulance and took over the procedures. They had me revived before I reached the hospital. That's how good they are. I had doctors during my stay in the hospital tell me that, hey, we hear your son and those firefighters saved your life the other night. And they did. A few weeks after I was released from the hospital, my wife and I and my son and grandson took a bunch of pies and hugs at Station 32. Excuse me. You know, it's hard to, you can't put into words your gratitude for people to save your life. As you can see, this is my grandson right here, probably the biggest joy in my life right now. He is also my neighbor, and I get to see him every day. He is Paul's helper. Whatever home project I got going on, he brings his tools over to help. The projects take a lot longer, but they're so much more enjoyable. My wife, I'm retired for 3 years now, and I enjoy getting up every morning and sitting across the table from my wife of 49 years, Pam, and deciding what we're going to do today. I have all this to look forward to just because of those individuals that saved my life. So I got to thank them individually, personally. I get to do it publicly now. So Brent, I love you. I'm so very, very proud of him in or out of the uniform. And I want to thank every one of those individuals that rode Unit 1, Station 32 that night to save my life. Thank you.
Chief O'Connor.
Thank you. Council President Hardin, President Pro Tem Brown, Councilman Brown, everyone else on council, thank you for recognizing EMS Week. What we found here today in the example from the Hiles is what our members do, the men and women of the Columbus Division of Fire, who really are the Columbus Division of EMS, because that's what we do over 500 times a day. And the actions that happened with Mr. Hiles are grateful, and we're thankful that our members were well trained. Your support allowed us to be in that, but that's something we do to every citizen, every resident of the city of Columbus on a daily basis, and we're proud to do it. The men and women you see standing behind me are examples of people who every day, 24/7, 365 days a year, no matter whether it's warm out or cold out, don't care what you look like, where you're from, how much you make, or anything that what your religious belief is, will come and offer you whatever assistance we can be. And that's what being a member of the Columbus Division of Fire is. I want to thank every one of these individuals behind me. They are who make the Columbus Division of Fire. They are what the residents of Columbus are looking for in a Division of Fire, and we want to exemplify that every day. So thank you for your support, and we appreciate this. This week is a busy week for us. We do a lot of activities. We did an event at COSI on Sunday. We're going to be doing CPR training for new Americans going out through the week. On Thursday, we will be having a survivors reception that'll be hosted over at Local 67. I think many of you are invited, and we hope you can attend, where we will recognize individuals just like Mr. Hiles who were saved by the actions of the men and women of the Columbus Division of Fire last year. And then it'll commemorate on Friday. We'll be doing CPR on Nationwide Arena's atrium area and out in the grassy area in the plaza up front there. 5 minutes to learn to save a life, because that's what will happen. Doesn't take that much time, but we are one step in the EMS chain of command, and we're asking every resident in the city of Columbus to help us be a part of that, and we'll teach that. That training is free. It takes less than 5 minutes, and we'll help you right there. So thank you for your recognition, and we appreciate the opportunities you give us.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any comments from any of my colleagues? Councilmember Tyson.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. I want to just personally say thank you. I've had the opportunity to ride and to go out on calls with EMS or with the fire division, and certainly, as you said, it doesn't matter what your economic status is, whatever the situation may be. That every time I've gone on these trips, that everyone has been so professional, going in, caring for the individual. And I just want to say thank you again on behalf of the Columbus residents, that their professionalism as demonstrated when a family is in need is, there not many words to describe just the professionalism. So I thank you and just say we really appreciate you, and we thank your families for allowing you to do this work and helping to save lives in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to announce that I'll be hosting a public hearing this Wednesday, May 22nd, from 2:30 to 4 p.m. in the Michael B. Coleman Government Center, room 204. The purpose of this hearing is to present the findings and recommendations of the Heart Safe Columbus Task Force. The Heart Safe Columbus Task Force was created to identify strategies to enhance survival from out-of-hospital sudden cardiac arrest by increasing bystander engagement in CPR and AED deployment. I'd like for you to please come and learn how our community can be band together to give our neighbors a second chance at life. And I'd also, and this is bittersweet, want to acknowledge that EMS Week will be the last for Dr. Kessick. After over 20 years of service to our community, he has been a champion for innovation and has prepared the paramedics and EMS within the Division of Fire to provide the very best care to our residents. My sincere thank you, Dr. Kessick. Our dedication to improving emergency medicine in this community is unparalleled because of you. That's all I have this evening. Thank you all very much for coming down.
Thank you.
An AED right here. That's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Dorans.
Thank you, Council President. One resolution this evening, but unfortunately, Mr. Thomas Weeks is unable to join us this evening due to some unforeseen circumstances. Wanted to honor his career with the Legal Aid Society at Columbus, which was an important one. So I'm hoping to postpone this recognition until our meeting on June 3rd, 2019. So this time I'd like to make a motion to table resolution 0170X-2019 until that date.
Brown, excuse me, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Jeff Chopko and his AP government class from Fort Hays High School forward to the podium. Today, Council had the privilege of hosting a mock council meeting this morning with students from Fort Hays. The students played the roles of council members, department directors, and members of the public, with council staff assisting along the way. It's important for the next generation of Columbus leaders to be well-versed in what happens in their local government. I was excited this morning to be able to interact with these students and teach them how Columbus City Council functions in a fun, interactive setting. Want to say thank you to the staff of City Council who helped make this happen, especially Kevin McCain from my staff and Andrew Dyer from LRO. Want to also thank Council President and Council President Pro Tem Brown for being able to drop by there for a little while. And most importantly, I want to thank the students. It was a great day, and we heard some great feedback, and it's our goal to build off today's success and bring more students in from across the city in future years. I firmly believe that no student should graduate from Columbus City Schools without at least one visit to Columbus City Hall to see how things operate in their city. And with that, wanted to let any of my colleagues make any comments before I turn it over to Mr. Chopko. Seeing none? Council President?
Well, one, I just wanted to thank the staff who worked on this project. What we saw this morning in council chambers was amazing, really. We saw young people who are prepared now to lead. We saw folks who, I said this morning that really the idea was that we wanted folks to get comfortable of engaging in this room where every Monday we talk about weighty issues and spend taxpayer dollars. But what happened as I sat there this morning was realize that really what I want these young people to do is get comfortable sitting where we are sitting. And actually leading the conversation because they have it. And so I just want to say thank you to Councilmember Dorans, to this team that helped us pull this together, and to the young people. Columbus, we are in good hands in the future when you hear from these students.
So thanks, President Harden and fellow council members. You know, too often in high school curriculum, local government is neglected. Everything's about national government for the most part. So it was a great opportunity for our kids to see how the nuts and bolts work for issues that really affect their lives. So I really appreciate that opportunity. The superstars here, though, are my 3 students behind me, and I'm really privileged at Fort Hays to be able to teach some outstanding students, these students and many others. So I'd like to introduce Elizabeth, Abby, and Alexis. So if you guys would like to say a few words too.
Hello, thank you for this experience. It was absolutely amazing being able to feel like being able to be a part of a leadership in Columbus. I love my city. There's a lot of issues that happen in our city, and I think that our generation is very much neglective of what's happening and going on. So I think it was a great experience, and I also hope in the future I can help make a change in Columbus. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for this experience. It was really fun. I got to sit in President Harden's chair, which was definitely my favorite part. It's a really comfortable chair. But no, seriously, this whole experience was really, really good. They said this was their first year doing it, but honestly, it went so smoothly and everything went so nicely. I really felt it was like I really had to do research. I really put time into this and put work into it, and you just really get an understanding for how city government works, and it was a really great experience. I would definitely do it again. Thank you.
All right, so first off, I would like to thank everyone responsible for making this happen. It was a wonderful opportunity, and, well, school is very important, but it doesn't always teach us about things important in our lives that are directly important to our lives. I mean, who wants to learn about doing taxes when you can know the tangent of 45 degrees? And plenty of politicians may say that they care about the children, but it doesn't always feel like people care with, things like the lack of legislation on gun control and our not so great school lunches. And this really showed that our state government is interested and invested in our education, so that means a lot. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Mr. President, I would also like to thank Legislative Aide Kevin McCain. He put a lot of work into our efforts. I just wanted to formally thank him also for that too. So thanks again.
Thank you again for being here and for being the first folks to go through what I hope is a long-term partnership between the Columbus City Schools and City Council to provide these kind of opportunities for students. Thank you for being a part of it. Council President, that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, President Harden. Just a brief announcement. We have community hours coming up this week at Mission Coffee, located in the Short North on 11 Price Avenue from 9 a.m. to 10:30. And that is all.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, President Harden. I would like to invite Lisette Mendoza, Freewana Gibru, Elsa Santa Maria, and the Dominican Sisters to the podium as I present Resolution 172X 2019 to recognize and celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Dominican Learning Center in the city of Columbus. The Dominican Learning Center, founded by the Dominican Sisters of Peace, located at 1111 East Stewart Avenue, is celebrating its 25th anniversary on Tuesday, May 21st, 2019. The DLC is an adult learning center whose mission is to serve the poor and marginalized by providing one-to-one or small group tutoring, English as a second language, GED, and citizenship classes to help adults improve their job readiness and skills in reading, writing, spelling, speaking, listening, mathematics, and basic computer use. And the DLC envisions a central Ohio community where every person has the opportunity to experience a satisfying, fulfilling, and peaceful life because he or she is able to read, write, understand, and converse in English, earn their GED, or become a citizen and gain proficient computation and technology skills to improve their earning opportunities and contribution to our economy and community. The DLC is committed to respecting the dignity, unique talents, and individuality of every learner served. The DLC provides excellent, innovative instruction in a welcoming and peaceful environment in order to inspire, motivate, and build self-confidence. The DLC has served more than 6,000 individuals from 52 countries and has hundreds of dedicated volunteer tutors and partnerships with 11 organizations and 26 local public libraries. The DLC strives to help build stronger, more productive citizens in the City of Columbus. Whereas the Columbus City Council is thankful for the impactful work of the Dominican Learning Center as we recognize the importance of providing residents of Columbus with options on how to empower themselves. Now therefore be it resolved by this council of the City of Columbus that this council does hereby recognize and celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Dominican Learning Center in the City of Columbus. Lisette, Ferwina, and Elsa, the floor is yours.
President Hart and fellow council members, I want to thank you for the opportunity that you're giving us today and the honoring of our 25th anniversary. As a ministry of the Dominican Sisters of Peace, 25 years ago, they decided to open up the center on the south side to help those that were high school dropouts and needed to get a high school diploma to get a better job. 25 years later, we serve over 400 students every year that need to learn English as a second language because they're new Americans, are looking to get a high school diploma in Spanish or English, or just need to get better skills to get into college or pass a local exam. So I think you guys heard all of our amazing numbers, but I do have two students with me today. One is Elsa. She got her citizenship through our program, and now she's learning English as well. And she continues to advance in our program. But then also Franny, who did get her citizenship with us, got her GED, and is now studying nursing. So I want all of you to really hear from them, from their mouths, and what we've done for them.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elsa. I am very grateful for my ESL classes because by attending ESL classes over the past 8 months, it has helped me to making my English skill stronger. It has helped me in the many situations, such as ordering at restaurant, communicating, at working, or asking for help in storage. I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to attending the ESL classes. The better my English skill, this program has offered me many great opportunities, such for working towards my citizenship in the United States. For these opportunities, I am extremely grateful. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Froyne Gabru, and I'm a student at the Dominican Learning Center. I have completed my citizenship, my GED, and my history test to attend the nursing school, LPN, the Columbus City Schools, practical nursing. And the program has definitely is the reason why I'm where I'm at right now. And I appreciate the program, and they do a lot of good things. And I'm nervous talking. Oh my God. But yes, this is the best thing that I could have done for me and my family, even though my kids are grown. But just to show them that it can be done no matter how old you are. And it's programs like that that help us to move forward and be successful and make more money and just live a successful life. Thank you.
Would the sisters like to introduce themselves as well? Please step up and say who you are.
Hi, I'm Sister Shawn Fitzpatrick.
I'm Sister Robin Richard.
I'm Sister Jean Conrad.
Sister Mary Dean.
Thank you very much. It's a real honor to have you down here this evening. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson. President Harden.
Next, I'd like to announce that I will be hosting community hours tomorrow, Tuesday, May 21st, at Tim Hortons at 1451 West Broad Street, 3 to 4:30. We will have Timbits, no pizza though. That's all I have this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Remy. Councilmember Tyson.
Thank you, President Harden. I have one resolution. I'm going to ask for the President and CEO, Dwayne Cesares, to come towards the podium, please. And I think he has some guests he's going to bring up to the podium with him. And this resolution is Resolution 175X-2019, is to declare May of 2019 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Columbus and to recognize the work of Directions for Youth and Families. Whereas Mental Health Awareness Month was started in the United States in 1949 by the National Association of Mental Health, known as Mental Health America. The effort was started to encourage and help people and families impacted by anxiety, depression, and the various co-occurring disorders to find treatment, support, and resources to assist them. Whereas there are nearly 450 million people throughout the world who are currently living with a mental health disease, yet nearly 2/3 of them will never seek treatment. 1 in 5 Americans will be affected by a mental health condition in their lifetime, yet there are millions of people who continue to suffer in silence because of the stigma of mental health, a stigma that is a national problem, not confined to Central Ohio alone. Whereas Directions for Youth and Families has roots which date back to 1899, when Associated Charities was established, and in 1992 they became known as Crittenden Family Services, offering a resilience-oriented, trauma-informed care, working and training with experts, educators, and others through counseling, education, and support, impacting and building a healthy community, one individual, one family at a time. Whereas the services offered by the Directions for Youth and Families include services to Black girls which consist of outreach counseling, office-based counseling, psychiatric medication management, outreach counseling, truancy, school connections, promises, survivors of sexual abuse, children who witness violence, children of murdered parents and siblings, teen parent connection, building bright futures at risk for school failure, building bright futures, reclaim juvenile court referrals, healthy alternative for youth, substance youth pride, anger management, after school and summer programs, youth center girls groups, life skills classes in area schools, inspiring hope, strengthening families, and transforming communities. Directions for Youth and Families impacts more than 6,000 youth and families each year through mental, emotional, and behavioral health services. And whereas the City of Columbus, in an effort to be proactive, understands the importance of raising awareness and recognizes the need to change the discussion regarding how depression, suicide, and other various mental health challenges are impacting our community. Our communicated is celebrating the work of Directions for Youth and Families, which has been providing mental health services in our community for more than 100 years. And whereas May has been designated as National Mental Health Awareness Month, a time dedicated to focusing on national attention on the importance of mental health, recommitting our community to increasing awareness by improving our understanding and highlighting mental health service providers in the community. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council does hereby declare May of 2019 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Columbus and to recognize the work of Directions for Youth and Families. I move for adoption.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson. President Harden.
Thank you. Dwayne, the floor is yours.
President Harden, Councilman Tyson, all the other council folks, thank you for this recognition. You laid everything out that we do, and we really have over 75 licensed therapists, more than any other agency in Columbus, and all of our work is done out in the streets. We have very little office space. We're in the homes and the schools and the communities. We continue to push the bar. We also have after-school programs and summer programming. We proudly say our Howe Avenue Center in the last 2 years have sent 4 kids through the music program that have received full ride scholarships to universities, and in that community that doesn't happen. Our team of social workers are really great. We've done a lot of work in trauma. We continued, this year we started a whole new project with Wyland Park School, and it was to train all the teachers on trauma and how to respond to kids differently. We just got those stats back last week. Last year they had over 600 disciplinary actions. This year that was reduced to 340. Last year they had 170 suspensions. This year that was reduced to 40. So we continue to work with the system to make things better for the people that we serve, and we believe ourselves to be servants. The other thing I want to mention, since this is all about Mental Health Month, the truly courageous people are the people who reach out for help. It's a very difficult process. It's a difficult process opening that up, and at times you think that are the social workers, the therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists. The true people who do the work are the people that we serve. And they're the ones that have the courage to walk through that door, and it's a door that many people are afraid of. Mental health and mental health issues is not a bad word. And having the courage, those are the heroes, and those are the people that I want to make sure that we recognize today. Thank you very much for the recognition.
Thank you. Dwayne, can you also share who's with you at the podium?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Ernie Sullivan, and I'm on the executive committee of the board, and I've been on the board for about 10 years, and we appreciate this opportunity to get greater visibility to the work that we do. One of the things I do want to say is this work is very important to the total community, not just those individuals that are affected, because when we strengthen individuals and we strengthen families, we strengthen our community. So all of this work that we're doing, whether it's prevention work, treatment work, after-school programming, it's all about giving individuals and families the opportunity to succeed. And when they succeed, our community succeeds.
I always have to follow Ernie. This is Mary Margaritas. I'm the Development Director, most recently for the Directions for Youth and Families. Coming from corporate America to this world has been an outstanding change for me. We do wonderful things in the community. The people who serve our youth and their families, I've never seen servitude such as that. The commitment to live out of your car, literally, to get to homes, to help families, to be able to affect not just the individual, a sibling, a parent, is extremely courageous. The after-school centers provide something that everybody wants, a safe place for a child. And that, to me, is worthwhile of why we are all here doing what we do. Safety, the opportunity for more, and that's who we are. I thank you.
One last thing I'd like to just mention that is we're very proud of it. We do serve over 6,000 kids and their families, and 96% of our services are free. We do not ever turn anyone away for an inability to pay. So that's why we have these folks that work so hard. So thank you for all of it.
Thank you all.
But don't walk away. I'm going to give your resolution. Again, I'm really honored to give this resolution to you and the work that you do. The statistics that you just stated are critically important. Dwayne presented to the Commission on Black Girls and certainly shared, like when I listed some of the services that our kids are dealing with, whether it be, families dying, drugs, sexual abuse, just lots of issues our kids are facing. And to be able to come to your organization and truly get culturally competent care. When we think about, it's really tough to find diverse individuals who have the skill sets to work with the different needs of our children. Dwayne's organization is one of the few organizations, this is probably the #1 organization that has such a culturally competent staff to work with their children and to understand their needs. And it's clear and this is, all of our schools, which is part of what we'll talk about, hopefully one of the goals of the commission, all of our schools need to have an understanding of the issues our children and families are dealing with. And it's clear by your numbers. When you are saying 140 suspensions and that's down to 40, or 600 situations and now that's down to 340, you're cutting them in half for kids and family to move forward. We need more, we need to make sure you're continuing to do your work, can care for more young people, to continue to make sure everyone moves forward, as what, Ernie Sullivan just stated. So I'm very pleased to give you this resolution. I really appreciate the work that you're doing to make our community better for our children, and eventually they'll become adults, they'll have children, their children will grow up to be healthy, and they will move forward and make an impact not only in the city of Columbus, but this world. So I thank you for your leadership. Are there any other comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I thank you.
Thank you.
I have an announcement. On Thursday, May 23rd, from 4 to 6 at Columbus Public Health, County Commissioner John O'Grady and I will be hosting our 2018 Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action Plan annual report to the community. And the speaker topics will be the Local Food Action Plan, the social determinants of health, economic development, the Linden Farmers Market, the Central Ohio Food Waste Action Plan, civic agriculture, Kroger Zero Hunger, Zero Waste, and the Central Ohio Farmers Market. It is free and open to the public, and we would love to have you come and hear the update on our local food action plan at Columbus Public Health Auditorium, 240 Parsons Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. At this point, I'd like to invite the friends and family of Ms. Amber Evans to the podium, as well as the representatives from the Create Columbus Commission, and all are welcome to come forward. As they're joining us, I have Resolution 0174X-2019. It's to honor the life and memory of Amber Evans and recognize her contributions to this community with the Create Columbus Visionary Award. Each quarter, the Create Columbus Commission honors a young professional in Columbus. This quarter, they selected Ms. Amber Evans. For folks who don't know or didn't know, Amber Evans was a Columbus resident, a community champion, and a powerful force for a more just city. Amber held leadership roles in the People's Justice Project, the Voices of the Unheard, the Juvenile Justice Coalition, and the community organizations and other community organizations where she built community and advocated for social and economic change. Amber was also a daughter. She was a sister, a mentor, a hiker, and an avid reader. She had the ability to forge meaningful connections with everyone she met, no matter where she went. Amber will live on through her friends, her family, and certainly through the work that she has done through this community, setting a strong foundation for us to move forward together. So be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council hereby honors the life and memory of Amber Evans and recognizes her contribution to this community with the Create Columbus Visionary Award. I would just like to also add that folks will always talk about the aura that Amber has when she would walk in a room and how she would glow. That was never more evident than when she was either advocating for young people or with young people. The last time she was in City Hall, she was, one, speaking about House Bill 410 that she got passed that gave access opportunities for young folks to, or made the state look at how we do prevention, how we do discipline differently in our schools. She was very proud of that, and it really changed the lives of many students. Amber is sorely missed in our community, but she certainly set us on a trajectory for a better Columbus, and we're very grateful. Are there any remarks from my colleagues? Councilmember Brown, President Pro Tem.
I feel so lucky to have known Amber and so privileged to have known her. I want to thank her friends and family for being here because I know it's difficult to talk about her legacy. As Council President Hardin said, she truly had a beautiful soul. She had an ability to see people, and I felt that personally. When I would talk to her, she always asked me about my babies. With glee, because she valued every young life in the world. But more importantly, I saw her do that with young people. I so appreciated the way she saw me, but I know she changed the lives of people that she saw all over this city, and in those people, her soul will live on. She had a unique ability that I just haven't seen in anyone else to really make a person feel valued. And so thank you for sharing her with us through her life. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Would anybody from the Great Columbus Commission like to speak before we ask Ms. Jill?
Yeah, thank you so much, Council President Hardin, members of council, for allowing us the opportunity to celebrate young professionals in our community, and to Amber's family for joining us today. On behalf of our entire commission, I'll let you know it was a unanimous yes, and a yes yelled loud whenever the idea to present this award to Amber was brought up at one of our meetings. Our commission exists to improve the lives of young professionals in the city of Columbus and allow them to co-create and thrive here. And there's really nobody better that did that than Amber Evans. And the work that she did affected people in the short term. She did everything she could to ensure that every person, as you said, was heard and advocated for, but also the plans and the strategy, and her incredible grace is going to change our community for years and years to come. So on behalf of the commission, thank you for sharing Amber with us. And a little something special that we have for the family, my colleague Reed will present.
I just want to thank everyone for recognizing her, period. To me, I mean, she's always, every day of my life, every day of her life, she deserved an award because the way that she made everybody that she came across feel, she made me feel that way anytime I could be around her. Made a difference in my life, being a high school dad. It really changed the direction of my life and what I chose to do. But the last few years, she's so busy and so involved in activism and work. Anytime we would, try to get together or do something, there was always, something would come up or there's something going on. And, I honestly, I'm just dad, so didn't recognize and see all the work that she, was doing. So to hear about the work that she was doing or to receive awards or to know that she's made such an impact in the community and here in Columbus, it's greatly appreciated. Nothing will fill the void and emptiness, but it's appreciated. Thank you guys very much.
As Brian said, I really want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. And I thank you guys so much for seeing her the way that we saw her. And like he said, we're just mom and dad and sisters, brothers, you know, family. And it just touches me so deeply that I was able to be her mom. I thank God for that. So, from the bottom of my heart and for all of us, we just really, 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 really thank you guys for keeping her legacy going on and helping us remember her, just as she would have wanted us to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom and Dad. Again, on behalf of this council, we're so sorry for your loss, but we are so grateful for you to share Amber with our community. I move for passage. Please call the row.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Hart.
Adopted. Thank you. Are there any comments by this elected officials, other elected officials? Are there requests by members of council for the removal of ordinance or resolutions from the consent action portion of the agenda? May we now have a motion to waive reading of the titles of 30-day legislation by the city clerk? Please call the row.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Hart.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record the ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation?
Finance Committee, ordinances 1308, 1314-2019. Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinance 1114-2019. Veterans and Senior Affairs Committee, ordinance 1260-2019. Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 1175, 1241, 1273, 1282, and 1304-2019. Public Service and Transportation Committee Resolution 153X-2019 and Ordinance 1255-2019. Economic Development Committee Ordinance 1328-2019.
Thank you. We don't have any speakers on the first reading, so will the following ordinance appear on agenda as consent actions? Will the clerk now read those into the record?
Resolution of Expression 171X-2019, Finance Committee, Ordinance 1277-2019, Recreation and Parks Committee, Ordinances 979, 1262, 1381-2019, Public Safety Committee, Ordinances 1246, 1264, 1292, 1303-2019, Public Utilities Committee, Resolution 142X-2019, Ordinances 1055, 1232, 1244, 1286-2019, Public Service and Transportation Committee, Resolution 151X-2019, Ordinances 1231, 1238, 1290, 1319, 1354-2019, Housing Committee, Ordinances 1300, 1365, 1366-2019, Criminal Justice and Judiciary Committee, Ordinance 1179-2019, Economic Development Committee, Ordinance 1258 and 1330-2019, Health and Human Services Committee, Ordinances 1188, 1287, 1294, 1301-2019, and appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A077-2019.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have one speaker on the consent action portion of the agenda. Mr. Nathaniel Wilkins, if you're here, would you please come forward? Mr. Wilkins is speaking on Ordinance 1365. Mr. Wilkins, welcome back to council.
1612, other to them than Mr. Lieutenant George Wilkins. I'm against CA 22 1365 2019. 935 Miller Avenue. I want to know how long it's been holding the land bank before it got to the land bank, and I want to know what the time frame before it's set vacant before it got to the land bank. Thank you for your time.
Would you, Director, will you please follow up with Mr. Wilkins? Are there any other questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, may I have a motion of approval for the items designated as consent? Please call the row.
Brown,
By
Brown.
voice. Please call the row, sorry.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed. We will now proceed with the second reading of 30-day tabled and emergency legislation. First committee to come before council is the the Recreation and Parks Committee. Councilmember Liz Brown is chair. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight in Recreation and Parks, we have Ordinance 1198-2019 to authorize and direct the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into contract with Direct Instructional Support Systems Incorporated for mobile game rental services, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the Columbus City Code, Chapter 329, to authorize the expenditure of $63,425 from the Recreation and Parks Operating Fund, and to declare an emergency. The Cap City Nights Summer Festival Series helps empower communities to work together to reduce violence and produce positive change. They bring together residents, churches, service providers, and business owners in a positive environment to build trust and a stronger sense of community. Festival events include free food, live entertainment, and a host of games and activities for the entire family. This ordinance authorizes the contract to provide the entertainment at the 6 Cap City Nights festivals scheduled for this summer. A bid waiver is being requested due to Direct Instructional Support Systems Incorporated being the only organization in Central Ohio able to provide gaming services, zip lines, and multiple inflatable structures, bounce houses, needed for the department's multiple festivals and at the capacity in which they're needed. Emergency action is being considered so that there is no delay in services provided, as the first Cap City Nights Festival is almost upon us, June 16th. Any questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Veterans and Seniors Affairs Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Brown. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight I have Ordinance 1183-2019 to authorize an appropriation in the amount of $3,659,236 from the unappropriated balance of the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund to the Recreation and Parks Department for the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging in connection with the Ohio Home Care Waiver Program, and to declare an emergency. The Ohio Home Care Waiver Program is a long-term care program that meets the needs of financially eligible children and adults aged 59 or younger who have significant disabilities and or mental health needs. The Ohio Home Care Waiver Program supports the consumer's independence in their own home by giving them control and choice over the in-home health care they receive. This ordinance funds case management services through the COAA that will assist over 1,100 residents in Central Ohio with obtaining the services they need through the Ohio Home Care Waiver Program. Director Rakowski, do you have any comments, sir, with regards to this legislation?
Chair Brown, President Harden, members of council, it's just a fantastic program, as you have already spoken to the quality of the program here. Most of COAA's programs, in fact, all of their other programs, serve folks that are 60 and over. So this is a program that serves folks that are 59 and below. There's also another piece of this program, which is a specialized recovery services program that's required under this contract, and that serves individuals diagnosed with severe and persistent mental illness or with a diagnosed chronic condition. And as you said, the waiver program serves approximately 550. The recovery services program, another 600 individuals here in the Central Ohio region. So it's just a very good program. We appreciate your support.
Thank you, Director Kaprakowski. And given the fact that Councilmember Tyson already acknowledges his Mental Health Month, that seems most appropriate. So I move for passage.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dorns,
Yes.
Favor, Remy, Tyson,
Yes.
President Harden.
Yes, ordinance passed.
That's all I have this evening, sir.
Thank you, Chair Brown. The next committee to come before council is the Public Utilities Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Dorns. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. I have one piece of legislation in public utilities tonight. That's ordinance number 1159-2019 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into an agreement with TM & Associates for professional engineering services for the storm sewer large diameter condition assessment project for the Division of Sewer and Drainage Stormwater Section to authorize an appropriation of $373,817.73 within the Storm Sewer Bond Fund to authorize a transfer within an expenditure of up to $1,097,259.94 within the Storm Sewer Bond Fund and to amend the 2018 capital improvement budget. This project will enable the city to systematically inspect and rehabilitate our large diameter storm sewer infrastructure. Phase 1 of this project covers approximately 14,750 acres across Columbus. It is anticipated that approximately 102,200 linear feet of large diameter storm sewer infrastructure will be assessed and rehabbed as needed. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Dorns, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you, President Harden. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Public Service and Transportation Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Favor. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. I'd like to invite our Chief Innovation Officer, Mr. Michael Stevens, to the podium. Tonight in Public Service and Transportation, we have ordinance number 0954-2019 to authorize the Chief Innovation Officer to execute a professional services contract with Easy Mile Incorporated relative to the Smart City Challenge Connected Electric Autonomous Vehicle Project to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,125,000 and to declare an emergency. In 2016, the City of Columbus, acting through the Department of Public Service, applied for and won the Smart City Challenge, receiving a $40 million grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation and a $10 million grant from the Paul G. Allen Family Foundation. This legislation is the next phase of the Smart Columbus Initiative, which will bring autonomous vehicles to the Linden community, helping to connect residents and visitors in Linden to jobs and services. Through the efforts of community outreach, Linden residents have vocalized the need to provide a better connection for residents to key community assets such as the St. Stephen's Community House and the Linden Transit Center. The Smart Columbus team researched the practical and technical feasibility of 4 routes in Columbus that would link residents to community resources and determined that this route stood to be a safe and useful application of the self-driving technology. Just a few short months ago, similar technology was deployed not too far from City Hall. Known as the Smart Circuit, the autonomous vehicle circles the Scioto Mile, connecting downtown residents and visitors to education destinations, including COSI, Bicentennial Park, and the new National Veterans Memorial and Museum. Engineers and researchers are using the Smart Circuit demonstration to inform the operation of the Linden route. Residents are encouraged to ride the Smart Circuit to experience a self-driving technology firsthand. As for the Linden route, human operators will be available and on board each vehicle during operations to monitor the vehicle, explain the technology to passengers, assist those with mobility needs, and take control of the operation of the vehicle should the need arise. The schedule is tentatively expected to run from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily with stop timings that complement COTA bus services. It's estimated that the shuttles could serve up to 90 people per hour, and the route is anticipated to take 20 minutes to complete. Do you have any additional comments you'd like to add there?
I think you captured it very well. President Harden, Chair Favor, members of council, I just want to reiterate what Chairperson Favor said. We engaged the residents of Linden to determine what the best route and what their needs were for this self-driving shuttle demonstration project. It will be stopping at the Linden Transit Center, Rosewind Resident Council, Douglas Community Recreation Center, and the St. Stephen's Community House. And we're really focused on demonstrating a project that includes how we're going to improve safety and mobility of travelers by mitigating first mile, last mile challenges, but also encourage the increased use of CODA by expanding locations served and implementing an efficient schedules and integrated solutions. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chair Favor. Will the driverless vehicle pick you up at your house? I was kind of reading, when I was reading it, I thought it would pick you from your residence. I'm not sure. Or is it just going to be on that circuit? Or I wasn't sure as I was trying to read this information.
So the self-driving vehicle will be stopping at 4 different locations and doing pickups and drop-offs at those 4 locations and not at the house.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance number 1209-2019 to authorize the city attorney to file complaints in order to immediately appropriate and accept the remaining fee simple and lesser real property interest necessary to timely complete the Arterial Street Rehabilitation Hamilton Phase A project and to declare an emergency. The city must acquire certain fee simple title and lesser real property interests located in the vicinity of Hamilton Road between Morris Road and Maneri Lane in order for the Department of Public Service to timely complete the public project. The city passed ordinance number 2939-2017, authorizing the city attorney to acquire the real estate. The city's acquisition of the real estate will help make, improve, or repair certain portions of real property in the vicinity of Hamilton Road between Morris Road and Maneri Lane, which will be open to the public without charge. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. President Harden, I have one piece. Thank you very much. We'll move to rules and reference as it falls under public service and transportation as well. So we have ordinance number 1081-2019 to authorize and direct the enactment of a new $5 permissive motor vehicle tax according to the terms and conditions of section 4504-173 of the Ohio Revised Code. Last month, Ohio state lawmakers worked together on a bipartisan manner to pass the new transportation budget. This ordinance authorized the city of Columbus to levy a $5 permissive motor vehicle license tax as set forth in section 4504.173 of the Ohio Revised Code for motor vehicle licenses in the city of Columbus in Delaware County, Fairfield County, and Franklin County. By enacting the permissive motor vehicle license tax, the city of Columbus seeks to fund numerous roadway and bridge improvements throughout the city. The tax imposed by this ordinance shall be paid to the registrar of the motor vehicles of the state of Ohio or to a deputy registrar at the time of an application for registration of a motor vehicle is made. The revenues derived from the tax levied will be deposited into the Municipal Motor Vehicle Tax Fund, which is estimated to bring an additional revenue of $3.6 million, which will pay for commodities and equipment needed for street and traffic maintenance operations such as road salt, gravel, sand, asphalt, concrete, chemicals, tools, electronic supplies, specialty truck, and equipment needed to repair and maintain public roadway infrastructure. Director, is there anything additional you'd like to add?
President Harding, Chair Favor. With an average of 42 people moving into Columbus per day, these funds are a much-needed infusion to keep our infrastructure in top condition, and we appreciate your consideration tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. And back to housing, we have ordinance number 1174-2019 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into a contract modification with Longstreet's Associates LLP to extend the contract completion date from March 31st, 2019 to March 31st, 2020 to modify the project budget to increase the contract amount by $1 million, to add terms regarding affordability of the workforce housing units and the requirement for a restrictive covenant, and to allow payment of expenses that have occurred prior to the effective date of the contract modification and to declare an emergency. This legislation authorizes the Director of Development to modify a contract with Longstreet Associates for the workforce housing project located at the corner of Front Street and Long Street in downtown Columbus in order to extend the completion date. This project is in alignment with the city's overall efforts through the Housing Works program to provide affordable housing for people working near major job centers that cannot afford market rate housing. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I'd move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And may I move on to criminal justice? Thank you. We have ordinance number 1323-2019 to authorize and direct the administrative and presiding judge of the Franklin County Municipal Court to accept a grant award from the Franklin County Office of Justice Policy and Programs to provide peer mentors to Helping Achieve Recovery Together, or Hart, which is the opiate-specific specialized docket, to appropriate $50,000 for the unappropriated balance of the general government grant fund to the Franklin County Municipal Court and to declare an emergency. This grant will fund a contract with Ohio Guidestone to provide peer mentors to the Hart docket, the opioid specialized specific docket. This grant will fill the gap between the specialized docket referral and ATP. This is the critical time for engagement in recovery and linkage to community treatment. It fills the gap at the time participants are transitioning from jail to treatment when, due to their sobriety in jail and ensuing reduced tolerance, that they are the most vulnerable to relapse or face lethal overdose. A peer mentor can provide support, link, and navigate this space with a high risk and high need participants. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, and that's all for my committees.
Thank you, Chair Favor. The next committee to come before council is the Economic Development Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilman Remy. Councilman, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. Tonight I have 3 ordinances in the Economic Development Committee. 2 of the ordinances are related, so I'm requesting to go out of order on those. I'd like to invite Trent Smith, the previous executive director of the Franklinton Board of Trade, and Veronica Knuth, the VP of Talent at Cover My Meds, to the podium as I introduce ordinance number 1295-2019 to authorize the Director of Department of Development to enter into an infrastructure improvements agreement with Cover My Meds LLC, CHI Franklinton LP, and to declare an emergency. Let's see here. I've got this. I want to make sure I'm doing the right one here. It looks good. The project team, I apologize. The project team is proposing to construct a new corporate headquarters for Cover My Meds, which will consist of 218,000 square foot Class A office building, ancillary campus amenities, and surface parking, and may construct in the future another 200,000 square foot Class A office building, 1 or more associated parking structures containing up to approximately 1,150 parking spaces at a later date. The Economic Development Agreement will outline the plans and certain commitments of the project team and the city as it relates to the project. The project will support the retention and relocation of approximately 592 existing full-time permanent employees from their current offices. Additionally, Cover My Meds will create 1,032 new full-time permanent employees. The project team will pay the cost to design and construct roadway improvements for North Souder Avenue from the railroad tracks to Dublin Road, McKinley Avenue from North Souder Avenue to Rogers Avenue, Hartford Avenue north of McKinley Avenue, John Street west of North Souder Avenue, and the intersection of North Souder Avenue and Dublin Road. The project team will enter into a contribution agreement with the city for costs to design and then construct the relocation of electric facilities that will be displaced as a result of the project for construction costs that exceed the city's contribution of $2 million. The development will strongly consider using City of Columbus Division of Power as its primary electricity service provider for a period of 10 years and will cooperate with the city should the city identify the need for a KOGO bike station or other mobility-focused transit installation. Trent, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you, and then followed by Veronica. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Remy, President Harden, President Pro Tem Brown, all of the council members. Thanks for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Trent Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Franklinton Board of Trade, and we are very eager to see the Cover My Meds project get underway as they will soon begin building their campus on McKinley Avenue. To me, one of the most exciting things about such a high-profile project happening in Franklinton is that it creates interest and curiosity from people who may have previously not been paying attention to the neighborhood. It certainly enhances the trajectory of Franklinton along with the other projects like Gravity, River and Rich, and the newly started processes for the old Grand Ford site and Mount Carmel campus. I'd like to briefly discuss something that I feel is pretty unique to the Cover My Meds team and their process, and that is the amount of involvement that they've given to the neighborhood before they've even broken ground on their new site. They have been very proactive in reaching out to and offering help to a variety of neighborhood organizations. And just to name a few, the ones that I'm aware of myself is Franklinton Preparatory Academy, Franklinton Farms, Furniture Bank of Central Ohio, Gladden Community House, Magic House Farms, Life Care Alliance, the Van Buren Shelter, the Homeless Families Foundation, and more, including us, the Franklinton Board of Trade. During the single week of May 6th through May 11th, their team volunteered more than 360 hours to beautify the neighborhood, organize supplies for a program helping babies and new moms, prepare meals for the homebound seniors, and generally pitch in wherever they could. They've helped with multiple litter cleanups and support community events, including our biggest neighborhood event, National Night Out. This support is not just in the form of writing a check. It is about every employee coming out and figuring out where they can be helpful. I know of a few Cover My Meds employees that actually live in Franklinton, so they are not coming at this relationship in a naive way. They know the needs are significant. Perhaps most importantly is the commitment Cover My Meds has promised to offer tech classes and career training for Franklinton residents who may have never had a chance to be exposed to such opportunities otherwise. They are not just showing up and building a beautiful office, they are sharing their time, their talents, and their treasures in ways that are meaningful to the future of the neighborhood and especially the youth. For that, we are grateful and look forward to what comes next. The Franklinton Board is very pleased to have support from Cover My Meds as we continue to search for creative ways to address some of our most difficult challenges in Franklinton. We know the involvement I've very briefly described here is not just a quick effort and a quick ending. We have every confidence that they will continue to walk alongside the neighborhood and be a valuable partner in many ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trent. We appreciate you coming down. Ms. Canoe?
Thank you, President Hardin and City Council members. I'm honored and humbled to be here representing Cover My Meds. Thank you, Trent. You've been an amazing partner to us. I really want to reaffirm our commitment to the City of Columbus. Cover My Meds is 10 years old, and in our 10 years, we've built a reputation for contributing in positive ways to the communities in which we live and work. Since we moved to Miranova, we've been a supporter in a number of causes in Franklinton, and as Trent said, a number of our employees live there. Our new Franklinton campus will allow us to create more than 1,000 new high-quality jobs, secure the capital investment of up to $240 million in the community, and enable us to provide a computer science training and careers program in Columbus City schools, in addition to new community investments we're making with local partners in adult workforce development and youth STEM education. We're partnering not only with local business and nonprofits, city representatives, and residents to address the needs of the community in a way that lifts up Franklinton and helps residents and businesses thrive. We are dedicated to being great neighbors to the Franklinton community and to listen to the needs, be respectful, and make sure that we're really good neighbors to where we're living. Since 2017, we volunteered more than 4,000 hours, and of that, nearly 1,500 volunteer hours have been specifically dedicated to Franklinton and the Hilltop communities. And Trent mentioned some of those communities involvement, some of that community involvement and those partners that we've been involved in. He talked a little bit about our support in the schools. We've also started to work with COSI to provide STEM resources to Franklinton middle and high school students. And at the library, we're providing a grant for new technology that will provide access to workforce readiness courses spanning from life skills to technology. This grant will also be used to help hire a dedicated employee for both the Hilltop and Franklinton branches to help guide visitors to appropriate workforce readiness tools. We look forward to working with everyone in Columbus and to continue to make this city a great place for our students to learn and for people to live and work.
Thank you very much, Ms. Knuth. I do have one question for you. How would we tell the citizens of Columbus that might be interested in working for Cover My Meds where to look and how they would go about finding those opportunities?
That's a great question. We keep all of our job opportunities up to date on our website, which would be covermymeds.com/careers. And we have a listing of all of our roles, both current open as well as we are actively and proactively looking for future opportunities.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your partnership with the department and the city. Director Shoney, do you have any comments or additional details?
Thank you, Chair Remy, President Hart, members of council. A couple of just kind of nuts and bolts pieces about this piece of legislation and actually the companion piece that we have. The heart of this matter is that the city will be contributing $2 million to the infrastructure to help improve infrastructure along McKinley and Souder. This is not just simply to benefit this one project. This will help us with additional redevelopment opportunities along both McKinley and Souder and deal with some of the problems that are there at Souder and McKinley as it exists. So we're looking forward to doing this. The second piece that we'll be talking about is a authorization to accept $175,000 from the state to help us offset this. So this is really a joint project between us, the developer, the tenant, which is to Cover My Meds, and the state to bring a wide variety of funds to play. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
The next piece of, the next ordinance I have in the Economic Development Committee is 0719-2019 to authorize the appropriation of grant funds within the General Government Grants Fund, to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to accept a grant from the Jobs and Commerce Economic Development Program account of the Ohio Department of Transportation, valued at up to $175,000 for costs associated with the completion of public roadwork improvements in support of the expansion of operations by Cover My Meds, LLC, to authorize the expenditure of $175,000 or so, much as may be necessary for the General Government Grant Fund, and to declare an emergency. These roadwork investments are necessary to maintain current traffic flow with the additional traffic volume near the project site along McKinley Avenue, Souder Avenue, Dublin Road, John Street, Hartford Avenue, and in the general area as a result of this investment. These improvements to existing roadway network will aid in supporting the expansion of operations of Cover My Meds and other growing employers in the Franklinton neighborhood. Expected improvements include pavement widening, modifications of pavement markings, new turn lanes, and new traffic signals. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to invite up Columbus City School Board President Gary Baker, Superintendent Dr. Talisa Dixon, Treasurers and CFO Stanley Bahoric to the podium as I introduce Ordinance number 1327-2019 to authorize and direct the city auditor to transfer $1,113,492.34 within the general fund, to authorize and direct the city auditor to appropriate and transfer $278,373.09 in cash from the special income tax to the general fund, to authorize and direct the payment of $785,907.76 to the Columbus City School District, $20,574.46 to the Gahanna Jefferson City School District, $170,002.59 to the Hilliard City School District, $48,313.38 to the Olentangy Local School District, $66,269.74 to the Southwestern City School District, and $22,424.41 to the Worthington City School District, for income tax revenue sharing totaling $1,113,492.34, to authorize the expenditure of $1,113,492.34 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. By authority of ORC Section 570982, the city is required to pay affected school districts 50% of the municipal income tax revenue attributable to tax-abated projects where the annual new employee payroll for a project is $1 million or more in a given tax year during the abatement. The municipal income tax revenue sharing with affected school districts applies to all property tax abatements approved by the legislative authority after July 1st, 1994, and is based on the new employee wages paid in a tax year during the years of tax exemption and also on the wages of construction workers. Thank you for joining us this evening. We really appreciate it on this important revenue sharing ordinance. President Baker, before you begin, I'd like to, on behalf of my colleagues, welcome Dr. Dixon. I believe this is your first visit to City Council chambers. Thank you for coming down. We really appreciate it. I hope your journey on this new role has been, you're probably, it's old hat by now, but I'm certainly glad to have you in the chambers. And so, President Baker, thank you for being here, and we look forward to your comments.
Thank you, Councilman Remy. President Hardin, President Pro Tem Brown, members of council, on behalf of Columbus City Schools' 50,000 students and their families, our teachers and staff, and my fellow Board of Education members, thank you for the opportunity to address this revenue sharing ordinance. In our view, however, this is more than a single piece of legislation. On its surface, it provides some income tax revenue to our district in the short term, yet it's much more than that. This ordinance represents a critically important long-term investment in our schools, an investment that delivers long-term financial returns via property tax revenue appreciation needed to sustain our schools. We share your view that the city's economic development incentive strategies are a vital tool to maintain and grow jobs in Columbus, which directly and indirectly benefit the children and families of Columbus City Schools. And I'd like to now ask Mr. Stanley Bohoric, who is our district treasurer, to speak to the financial impact of this ordinance and the city's incentive policies. Treasurer.
Thank you, President Baker. Council President Hardin, members of City Council. We appreciate this opportunity to be here this evening as you consider adoption of this ordinance that impacts our district's bottom line. Although the income tax revenue Columbus City Schools receives as a result of incentive packages represents just a portion of our $1.4 billion annual budget, it is nonetheless not an insignificant amount. The average annual payment since 2013 has been a little over $1.7 million. These annual transfers are deposited into our general fund, which funds the operations of our schools, including payroll, classroom supplies and materials, and much more. Over the past 3 years, Columbus City Schools has received a little over $5.2 million in income tax revenue sharing from incentive projects. It is important to note that in addition to these income tax revenue sharing payments, Columbus City Schools continues to receive the base property tax payments during the abatement period. That is, the property taxes that are levied on the unabated portion of the property. The abatement or incentive applies only to improvements on the property, and I believe it is often misunderstood that all property taxes stop during an abatement period, which is simply not accurate. Additionally, Columbus City Schools has the opportunity to work with the growing companies in an effort to negotiate long-term partnerships for the benefits of our students and our teachers. These include on-the-job experiences such as internships, student seminars, and the purchase of classroom supplies and equipment. As a company's leadership experiences our individual schools or a district program, we expect they will grow their relationship with us over each year. The benefit of these types of relationships for our students, our teachers, and our staff, in my opinion, is immeasurable. Finally, as the district treasurer, I appreciate the data provided by the Columbus Tax Incentive Review Council that meets regularly to review property tax abatements in TIF districts. It is important that both the city and our district can ensure that job and payroll goals are being met as part of these incentive packages. On behalf of the district, I look forward to working with you, Councilman Ramey, to help structure the city's incentive packages to create jobs for Columbus residents, including our district families, and produce additional long-term revenue to sustain our schools. With that, I'd like to turn the podium back to President Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Council members, allow me now to officially introduce you to the 21st Superintendent of Columbus City Schools, and I believe this is her 68th day with us. This is Dr. Talisa Dixon.
Thank you, Board President. And good evening, Council President Harding and the members of Council. It's a pleasure to join you this evening at my first City Council meeting and to stand with our district leadership as you discuss this annual revenue sharing legislation. We all know that our schools are stronger when we have strong partners. Our kids are able to be stronger students in the classroom when they have strong advocates fighting for them. And our teachers and our staff are stronger with strong allies standing beside them. We appreciate that City Council has been just that, strong partners, strong advocates, and strong allies. And it's just not for the short term, but for the long term as well. We believe in a strong long-term economic development policy that fights to keep and grow jobs within Columbus. Because when jobs and investments stay and grow here in Columbus, then the students of Columbus City Schools benefit. And whether it's income tax sharing, increased property tax valuations, or direct investments in the program and services aimed directly at our students and our families, these investments by City Council are helping sustain our schools and achieve our mission. And that's to provide our students with every opportunity they deserve. Thank you for being our partners and our advocates, and I look forward to working together.
Councilman Remy, we are glad to take any questions you or your colleagues may have for us.
Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my litter mitigation contest with the Columbus City School students. May 24th is the deadline, but my Cleaner Columbus campaign is rolling out, and we've gotten, I think, 50, 60 submissions so far, but we're looking forward to many more this week. So it's awesome for us to have the opportunity to partner with your kids. And of course, a little bit earlier, we talked about the mock trial that we did with, mock council that we did with our Fort Hays students. And thank you, Councilmember Doran, for leading that up. It was a great opportunity to show your students how our local government works. So thank you so much for coming down this evening. Yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Tyson.
Thank you, Chair Remy. I just want to say thank you to you, President Baker, to Dr. Dixon. I appreciate you coming to council and certainly talking about this relationship that Columbus City Schools has with the city of Columbus. It is so important that tonight's a great day because we're certainly sharing those resources, and but it's really important that people see this partnership. And it isn't, as you mentioned, we mentioned a lot of, it's just not just the revenue sharing, but there's a great partnership with this organization between Columbus Public Health, with the Department of Public Service, and just, I can go on, and Recreation and Parks. There's lots of ways that we work together. But this one is really important because I think coming down and sharing the importance with this so that our listening and viewing audience can see that there is a partnership and begin to continue to gain further knowledge on the importance of having, tax incentives, then providing opportunities for jobs for the families of residents and students, family members, and for students also. But also, it's just so important. So I appreciate taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here and to share and to discuss the importance of this ongoing partnership. So I thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come here to accept this. Once we pass this, we pass it. But I appreciate you coming here and doing this because you help people understand the importance of this relationship. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilman Remy. We appreciate the opportunity. we agree wholeheartedly, and we believe that it's critically important that we work together to shape the narrative. This is an incredibly effective and important partnership, and we look forward to continuing it and growing it in the future. Thank you, and thank you also very much to Education Chair Brown for all of her advocacy and support and communication. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, President Baker. Director Shoney, I know you have a few comments you'd like to make.
Yes, thank you, Chair, President Hart, and members of council. First of all, I would like to echo the thanks that you all have provided to our friends from the schools for coming out tonight. And it is a great partnership. We have gotten to understand each other a lot better, gotten to know each other a lot better, and I think Stan and I have gotten to know each other, and you can imagine how that goes. It really has become a true partnership. As we were preparing this legislation, we actually took this as the opportunity to go back and look at. We actually had 3 projects that we had been paying revenue sharing on that rolled off in this past year. So we thought it was a good opportunity to go back and do a little bit of a dive into what those meant. And we're still going through that process, but there's one project that I want to point out some numbers. So it was we did a abatement for DSW Incorporated for their facility out by the airport. Before the project started, the Columbus City Schools was receiving, and I'm not going to read my numbers as well as Chair Remy did. That was impressive, and I won't try and match that. But the schools was receiving approximately $121,000 a year. During the abatement period, the schools received $2,993,000 over that 10-year period from revenue sharing. That figure is 321% of the abatement value. So the schools received 321% of what they would have received if we had done the project without an abatement. That's what it is to make a really wise investment. That's the power of the system that we have set up and the system that has been set up by the state, so that this is a partnership. Because we have to do revenue sharing, when we win, the schools win. So I'll leave you with that for today. Thank you for your support for this legislation. We're going to be trying to do more to dive into these numbers a little bit, and happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Then seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Chairman, can I get a motion to adjourn? Please call the roll. For recess. May I get a motion for recess? That was almost an accident, directors. Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Meeting is recessed for zoning. Regular meeting number 28 will now come to order. Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the journal?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
We will now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Tyson chairs that committee. All members serve on the committee. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Before beginning the zoning agenda, I'll briefly explain the rules of council as pertaining to speaking before council on zonings and variances. We permit 3 speakers on each side, 3 proponents and 3 opponents, and we ask that they limit their remarks to 3 minutes on each side. And we provide an opportunity for rebuttal from the applicant. On the advice of the City Attorney's Office, we ask that anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against any council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. I will. Thank you. The first ordinance is 1204-2019 to rezone 6335 Refugee Road, being 1.31 acres located on the west side of Gender Road and 330 feet south of Refugee Road from the C4 Commercial and CPD Commercial Plan Development Districts. to CPD, Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Task TW Properties LLC. The proposed use is a car wash. The City Department's recommendation is approval. The Greater Southeast Area Commission's recommendation is approval, 7-1. And I will first ask for a staff presentation.
The site is undeveloped with an exception of a billboard in the C4 Commercial and CPD Commercial Plan Development Districts. The applicant is requesting the CPD Commercial Plan Development District for a portion of the parcel to permit an automatic car wash in C4 uses. The CPD portion of the site was part of approved rezoning ordinance 2940-2018 Z18032. That rezoning also permitted a car wash. However, the site is under new ownership and requires site plan modifications. The site is located within the boundaries of the Southeast Land Use Plan, which recommends mixed-use land uses for this location. Additionally, the plan includes complete adoption of the Columbus Citywide Planning Policy's design guidelines. The proposal is compatible with the development standards of adjacent commercial developments, is consistent with the land use recommendations of the Southeast Land Use Plan, and adheres to the Columbus Citywide Planning Policy's design guidelines. Therefore, City Department's recommendation is for approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. You said that this previously there was a car wash?
Correct.
Thank you. All right, I will now ask for a presentation and/or statement from the applicant or representative of the applicant. Good evening. Please state your name and who you represent.
Okay, my name's Travis Saffel, and I'm the owner of the property. I want to thank you, President Hardin and council members, for taking your time today. Our site is going to be an automatic car wash. It's going to be a tunnel car wash built in the area. It will be only open during limited hours. It will be employed at all times. Our site is designed to optimize the traffic flow on the property and to enhance the draw to other businesses in the gender refugee corridor. We plan on being great neighbors, and we'll provide a first-class environment for all our customers. So this is not our typical car wash that you normally see. This is a high-end structure that will be clean, free of loitering. Wash will be staffed at all times, and only paying customers will be able to access the property. This will enable people from loitering, causing issues in the area. The property will also have a sound barrier constructed down the property line to make sure that our neighbors are happy. So look forward to building this site and helping out with the area. There was a lot of trash and brush in areas, a very kind of riff-raff area there. So we look forward to cleaning up that area and making it safer for everyone and providing a great business in that area. Thank you.
Questions for the applicant? Seeing none. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We have two speakers, and the first speaker is, and this speaker, both of them are against the car wash. The first speaker is David Carroll. Good evening, Mr. Carroll. Please
Yes.
state your name and who you represent.
My name is David Carroll, law firm of Carroll, Ucker, and Hemmer here in Columbus. I'm representing my wife, Darlene Carroll, who is an owner of the adjacent property. President Hardin, members of council, we're less than enthusiastic about having a C5 use placed right next to an R1 use as presently exists. And the primary concerns, however, have to do with noise from the cars and people. As you know, the cars these days are sometimes and frequently equipped with speakers that go boom, 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 boom. And having that stuff right next to the neighborhood is a major concern. The ordinance, as I see it, lacks two things that we understood the Development Commission had recommended. The ordinance here says that it talks about having a 5-foot-tall minimum masonry fence. We understood them to be talking about a wall, A fence to me implies something with air passing through. The idea of the wall is to be a sound barrier. So this says a fence, it really should be a wall. The other thing that the commission talked about is it should have decorative elements on the side of the wall that faces the residential properties, and that's lacking from the ordinance. So that is a concern of what I see in this ordinance. Other than that, we're opposed to having the C5 use next to the residential area, but if it's going to be there, we're pleased that we would be pleased that there would be a sound barrier wall, not merely a fence, and having those decorative areas as recommended by the Development Commission. Thank you.
Mr. Carroll, were you aware that the Greater Southeast Air Commission was voting on this? Were you aware of that?
I wasn't aware of it at the time, but I've certainly heard about it since then.
So you weren't able to go to the meeting?
No, ma'am.
And share information?
No, I was not.
Okay. And wait a second, Councilmember Remy, you could.
I did hear the applicant say that there was going to be a sound barrier. Could you explain what that is, if you'd come back up and let us know?
So the wall is a solid concrete wall. It is made by a company called Verticrete. It has a design on both sides. It has piers with like a brick imprint, so it gives you the appearance that it is a brick wall. It's very attractive. We searched something because we want something attractive for our building too. We don't want an ugly wall down the side of our business that we're building. It's a large project. And so the wall does serve the purpose of a sound barrier. It's solid. That is the reason for Verticrete, so it would take care of all those issues. And like I said, on both sides, it has stone structure, so the appearance is very nice on both sides. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, wait.
Yeah.
Okay. The next speaker, I see you. The next speaker is Mr. Canfield. Please state your name and who you represent.
John Canfield. I'm a resident of the adjacent property. President Hardin, members of the council, thanks for listening to me. Yeah, I don't want an automatic car wash in my backyard. It's a real heavy use of the property. I think that something that doesn't have mechanized equipment would be a better fit. Something that's 30 or 40 feet away from my backyard, I feel like is going to be bothersome to me and my family, whether or not there's a 5-foot masonry wall to absorb some of the sound. My property in particular has such a narrow backyard, and the proposed car wash's design is placed so close to the border of the property line. It really is just right on top of my backyard. Some of the things that I'm concerned with about the property is the noise I'm going to hear from engines idling, from the high-velocity dryer fans that are going to be installed inside of the unit. There's also going to be mechanized equipment rotating around, high-velocity water sprays. There's also going to be noise from customers who are parked at the facility cleaning their vehicles, their wheels, and their interiors. Aside from noise, there's also going to be smells emanating from the car wash, such as detergent from the wash cycle and the wax cycle. There's also going to be exhaust fumes from gasoline engines and diesel vehicles idling right in my backyard. Aside from the noise and the smells, other impacts include additional vehicle traffic on an already busy intersection of Gender and Refugee. There's going to be additional foot traffic on both sides of my property as a result of this installation. And also, and importantly to me, the heaviest use of this property is going to directly overlap with where I am most likely to have my peaceful enjoyment of my backyard. So there's going to be that direct opposition of when I'm trying to use my property and when that property is being used the most. And I'll close with this. I read through the residential land use recommendations in the Bryce-Tussing area plan from 30 years ago, and it called out my intersection specifically, and it says this: we should protect residential areas from encroaching commercial and manufacturing uses through the use of buffering standards and transitional zonings. Do not allow the intrusion of large-scale commercial uses, commercial uses that generate heavy traffic of manufacturing uses into areas planned for residential development. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Canfield. And I will ask you the same question. Were you aware of the Greater Southeast Area Commission's meeting when they discussed this, this particular ordinance?
No, I was aware of a couple of zoning commission meetings which I attended.
Okay. And so when you went, and this wasn't one that they discussed, when you didn't attend a meeting where they discussed this zoning?
Yeah, I voiced my concerns then as I'm doing now.
Okay, all right. And they voted 7-1 for approval, correct?
The second time they did, the first time several members abstained.
Okay. Okay, well, and then the issues are noise, the traffic, the smell. Those are some of your major issues, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. Any questions for him? I'm going to ask the potential owner to come back to answer those questions.
Councilmember,
Go ahead. Yes.
you spoke about the depth of your backyard. Do you have, and I'll see on the slide again, I just want to understand really what that depth is comparison when we put them.
So on the blueprint, you can see my house and the car wash on the same print. It's very close.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. You have a 3-minute rebuttal, and then we can ask any questions based on what you've heard.
Okay, so the first time the site was approved for a car wash, the car wash and the cars were actually lining up against the fence against the house. The reason why we came back for rezoning is we wanted to move stuff away from the fence. After we had everything approved, we talked to some people and we had the opinion that we wanted to move things away to make it better. So this site was actually designed and we brought it back up for rezoning in order to solve the problems and some concerns of the neighbors that they had. So the vacuums are moved much further away from the houses than they were before, that there's no traffic right up against the fence that goes along the building anymore. And then there's also the sound barrier that goes down along the building and then the building itself. So the property beside it is a gas station, and there's so much traffic that goes up and down Gender Road, will actually benefit the noise situation. The minute our building is built and the actual retaining wall is built, it will actually benefit the noise situation to their backyards. I mean, there's so much noise in that gas station and so much traffic, and there's all kinds of issues with people coming out of that gas station and climbing the fence. The people directly next to our car wash were very excited about us being there because they wanted it to be safer for themselves. They all have cameras in their backyards, and they had a lot of people stealing stuff from the gas station and then running across that area that was full of brush and then climbing the fence and then ended up in their backyard. And now with our car wash being there, we're going to have surveillance cameras. We're going to have the fence that runs down the side, and it's going to be clean and neat, and there's going to be somebody there working in the facility. So we're going to help with all those issues. I understand people's concerns when a business goes in their area and goes next to their backyard. I understand that, but we will be a business that will do everything we can to make sure that we're great neighbors to everybody in the community. And I really think that this site plan that we proposed here addresses all those issues, and it will be, like I said, it will be a better situation with the car wash than it was previous. So,
Councilmember Remy.
How tall is that sound barrier again?
they actually required a 5-foot sound barrier at the last zoning meeting.
Okay.
And the car wash is automated, but there is going to be some staff there at some point in time?
All the time.
All the time?
Staff. Yes. I mean, from open to close. It's, I don't know if you're familiar with like the blue sky that's up on 23. It's a real high-end tunnel. It's not like the traditional car wash. I mean, basically, you'll pull up, there'll be a customer, there'll be an employee there, they'll help you through the tunnel. All the equipment is inside the building. There's automated doors on both sides that open and close, and then when they exit the building, then they go back over to the vacuum area that's away from the housing development, and they have free vacuums there that they can vacuum their car out. All these areas are gated, so the only way you get access is to come through the entrance and then pay for your wash. The vacuum area is also gated. There will be signage to make sure that the customers there maintain proper noise levels with their radios, and we will have employees there enforcing that all the time, cleaning up trash, helping out the area. Our car washes, I own other car washes, they're like a restaurant. They're very clean and neat. We want high-end customers to be there, and we want to be great neighbors to the community.
And what are the hours of the car wash?
The hours are basically daylight. So we fluctuate from winter to summer just due to daylight hours. You don't wash very many cars when the sun goes down. So most of the time in the summertime, it'll be 8 to 8. And then in the wintertime, it'll be like 8 to 5:30, 6 o'clock, depending on daylight hours. So, and we just fluctuate that way. But most of the time, it is daylight hours only, maybe a half hour past dark that we're open. Yeah.
Chair, I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
And since there is, okay.
I apologize, Chair.
I defer to the council president.
Councilmember Brown.
Just a question again. There seems to be noise and smells, and you're talking about signage. Can you elaborate a little bit for me about the signage, and how would you address this issue with regards to the aroma?
So the smells and everything in the tunnel are in the very front part of the tunnel. There's 30 feet before the first arch that sprays chemical on. And then out the backside for the drip space, there's almost about 75 feet before the exit part of the tunnel. All the chemicals and everything that we use in the tunnel are biodegradable. They're all environmentally friendly. I would beg to differ that you could smell anything out of the tunnel at all, from the outside to inside. I think that I don't know that I've ever witnessed a situation where I stood outside of a building where there was a tunnel car wash and had some type of aroma coming out of the tunnel. The first part of the tunnel, you have clear water rinse going on, spraying the car off, and then the backside of the tunnel, you also have spot-free rinse that goes on that basically rinses the car free of all the detergents and all the triple foams and everything that would have aroma, and then it passes through a group of dryers that basically dry the car completely dry. So there's nothing that would actually aspirate or go into the environment when the car leaves, because it's 98% dry when it leaves. So.
And the signage, what type of signage and the size of the signage?
On the vacuum stanchions, each spot where you pull up to vacuum for the free vacuum, there's going to be a sign on each pole that's basically going to give some rules and regulations to being able to use these vacuums. So basically, no loitering, no loud music. We're going to make sure that people do not empty their cars or their trash all over the ground and try to clean out their car. And then they're limited to use, so it's usually between 10 and 15 minutes they're allowed to vacuum out their vehicles, because we just don't want loitering or any type of problems there on the site.
And if someone violates the signage, how do you propose to address that?
Our employees will be trained to be able to go out and approach the customers and have a conversation with them and explain the rules, show the sign to them, and then ask them to move along. I mean, you know, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, we make sure that they move along and not cause problems to other customers.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to ask a question. Is there an example of this type of car wash? You said it's an advanced or a...
Yeah, so the Blue Sky that's up in Delaware, up on 23, that's right in front of the Kroger's, is a very good example. They've built one in Sawmill Road that is a very good example of it. These are two car washes that they built in real high-end areas and really do a nice job. The building's very high scale. It's got windows and EFIS and everything. It's a beautiful building. It's gorgeous. So
the concern the question that I have is around the sound coming off of the dryers.
Yes.
Because in my mind, you know, when I go to a car wash, those actually do make a lot of noise.
Right.
And so I was wondering if this new technology makes the sound less.
So the actual dryers themselves have an iris air gate on them that actually fluctuates the air intake, and it actually tunes the air. There are some that are very, very noisy to the point where you can't even stand beside them, and it's very difficult. It's actually hard on the employees too. These are half that decibel level. With the irises, when they close, the noise completely goes away. The only time that there's actually any noise at all is when the actual vehicle is present. And then the way the equipment's stationed, it's going to be far enough into the building that there's going to be a damper area for the sound to dissipate before it goes out. And then the wall structure that's along the building itself will provide a barrier too, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken.
Councilman Favor?
How many dryers are there?
In this site, there's 10.
Okay.
10.
And what would stop somebody from using the dryer after hours? Is the whole
It's
car
all-
wash itself is gated?
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
gated, and the dryers are in the tunnel. So when you
Okay.
purchase the wash, you get onto a belt, and the belt pulls you through, and then you wash and dry, and it's all automated, and then it puts you out the side. I mean, you can only use it when the car wash is open.
Okay.
Yeah, and the whole structure, the vacuums and everything will be gated and closed. There'll be automated gates in the beginning where you pay and they open, you enter, you go through the car wash, you'll go into the vacuum area. There's also a gate at the exit of that the vacuum area, so when they're done, they exit through and there's nobody backing into that traffic or into that vacuum area that's not paying customers. Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brown?
One of the speakers mentioned fumes from the cars. What kind of standing line is there or idling line typically? I know you can't predict exactly what will occur at the site, but how is that dealt with at other sites? And are there trucks and things like that that would have more fumes and exhaust?
Great question. The reason for this redesign was to deal with that, because before we had all the traffic lining right up against the building, which was right beside the fence, and they were standing there idle. Now, the traffic is on the other side of the building, away from the homes. You've got a building that's probably 29 feet to 30 feet in height that's going to be the barrier between the vehicles and the homes themselves. When you pass through the gate is actually controlled, so it only allows 1 or 2 cars out at a time. So the gate opens up, and then they circle around and then go directly into the tunnel. They're not standing still in that area whatsoever. They're only idle on that side of the building towards the speedway. So if you can look, I don't know if you can bring the plans up, but they're completely away from the homes. And the building basically provides a great big barrier to keep that from happening. And you know, with the building itself, it's like 40 feet wide, and then I think there's 25 feet or 20 feet between the building and the fence. So, you know, like I said, once again, this design completely eliminates, in my mind, any issues. The exit side where you see the cars coming out, they're in movement. They're not going to be standing there idling. The entrance side, you can see when they pass through that little area where they're double lined, that's the place where they'll be sitting, and that's on the other side of the building from the homes. So that would be the only place that I would think that you would have fumes, because if a vehicle's with the emissions and stuff the way they are, if they're moving constantly and go into the building and out, you know, they're not going to be sitting there creating fumes for people in their backyard. This is called the Blue Hippo. Yeah. The hippo's name's Hydro.
Blue Sky? Yes. Councilmember Remy?
Thank you. You said there's 25 feet between the building and the fence. Is that
I think
correct?
there's like probably 20 feet. I can't remember the exact, but it's somewhere in that line. Because like I said, the driveway used to pass between the fence and the building.
Would it
The
be
building-
possible to get a commitment to plant pine trees or some sort of additional barriers as far as like greens, you know, adding to the green element and adding trees to the spot in between the building and the fence?
Well, that fence itself, there's going to be an area between the fence and there's a bunch of trees right now that you can't see on the plans, but that whole fence line is nothing but trees, all big, full-growth trees that hang over. So once our fence is built, it's going to be basically, the trees are going to be hanging over right on top of the fence. So, I mean, the green, it's there already. You know, you can't see it from the plans, but there's all the way down that fence line, there's big, enormous trees that are beautiful and should provide all kinds of sound barrier that way.
Okay, thank you very much.
And we also have a bunch of trees that we're going to plant out the backside and around that's on the plans to make it even nicer too, so.
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you. I'm just looking at the picture of the one that's in Powell.
Okay.
And, okay, thank you. All right, well, again, I think you've answered many of the questions that the two gentlemen that came up and spoke. They were concerned about the noise, the smell, the the wall, the decorative wall, You've already mentioned what that was going to be, and I think you have answered most of the questions that were concerns of the two residents that came up to speak. If there are no other further questions, again, this was met the approval of the city department. It also, again, received the Greater Southeast Area Commission's recommendation as 7-1. And so if there are no more questions or comments, first of all, I amend to emergency.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 1288-2019 to rezone 1551 West Broad Street, being 3.84 acres located at the southeast corner of West Broad Street and Interstate 70, from CPD, Commercial Plan Development District, to AR1, the Apartment Residential District. The applicant is the Ohio Community Development Finance Fund, care of Jeff Moran. The proposed use is a supportive housing development, and the City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Franklinton Area Commission's recommendation is approval. And this particular development is the Carroll Stewart Village. For those of us who have been around council for quite some time, we remember Carroll Stewart as being a major advocate in the Franklinton community, and this will be named after her. And this particular development is for youth exiting the foster care system, which we're so excited that if we pass this legislation, this will be certainly very helpful to our homeless young people. If there are no questions or comments regarding this, we don't have any speakers. I first move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you, and now I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. The variance that is with the previous piece of legislation is 1289-2019 to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3312.09 aisle, 3312.25 maneuvering, 3312.35 prohibited parking, 3312.49 minimum numbers of parking spaces required, and 3333.255 perimeter yard of Columbus City codes for the property located at 1115 West Broad Street to permit the development of supportive housing development with reduced development standards in the AR1 Apartment Residential District. Again, the applicant is the Ohio Community Development Finance Fund, care of Jeff Moran. Proposed use is a supportive housing development. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and Franklinton Area Commission's recommendation is approval. If there are no questions or comments, I move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Now I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. That concludes the zoning legislation.
Thank you, Chair. If there are no further business coming for the zoning committee, I get a motion for adjournment. Please call the row.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed. We'll now reconvene regular meeting number 27. May I get a motion to reconvene? Please call the row.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Meeting is reconvened. We are going to the Environment Committee, chaired by Councilmember Remy.
Thank you once again, Council President Harden. Tonight in the Environment Committee, we have the following ordinance. Ordinance number 1306, 2019, to authorize an appropriation in support of the Columbus Litter League and to declare an emergency. This ordinance authorizes an appropriation in support of the Columbus Litter League, an initiative launched to abate litter. The Columbus Litter League is a competitive team-style litter abatement initiative which kicked off last weekend. Many of us from council were out and about on the south side working to make sure that we're leading our division in this competitive environment. The Litter League is divided into 4 divisions, the South, West, North, and East, and teams will be able to select the division they would like to play under. Teams will send in their data after each cleanup and will be scored within their division. Points are earned based on number of bags filled. Once the season opens, a scoreboard will be kept on the Litter League webpage. This ordinance will provide additional resources to be utilized for the procurement of supplies in support of the program. So I think we were were able to collect something like 25 bags as a team. Congratulations, and thank you so much for everybody that stopped out this weekend. And if you'd like to sign up, please make sure that you go to the Litter League website. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? All right, seeing none, I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
And that's all I have in the Environment Committee. Thank you so much.
Chair. The final committee to come before council is the Health and Human Service Committee, chaired by Councilmember Tyson. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I have Ordinance 1170-2019 to authorize the Director of Development to execute grant agreements with various social service agencies to address and provide for multiple human service needs, to authorize expenditure of $2,351,000 from the Emergency Human Services Fund, and to authorize expenditure of $2,113,907 from the General Fund, and to declare an emergency. To support the city's vision for economic security and resilience for all, the city conducted a competitive funding process through its Human Services Grant Program pursuant to Section 3371.02C of the Columbus City Codes of 1959, and the city shall enter into grant agreements with social service agencies under the authority of Columbus City Codes 1959, Section 329.29 and 329.30. The requests for proposals were issued via direct email to agencies and partners to send their networks of agencies. Press release and on the city's website. A grant information session open to all interested parties was conducted on November 27th of 2018, and the city received 142 proposals, 101 agencies with over $19 million in requests. A committee of 22 individuals representing the city, county, state, Ohio State, Columbus Foundation, and other community organizations evaluated the proposals based on the focus of economic security and resilience and the 20 review criteria given in the RFP. 44 programs were selected for funding. The awards were given with an anticipated renewal in fiscal year 2020, pending availability of funds and program performance per agreements with each agency. These programs and initiatives will provide services to residents of Columbus within one or more of the city's 5 investment strategies, those being income through employment, job quality, education and training, financial capability, and stabilization and resource support. Director Schoen, do you want to make any comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair, President Hart, and members of council. Just a sincere thank you to you and your staff for working with us through this process. When you have need that exceeds the resources, it's never easy. And so we appreciate your leadership and work with us, and frankly that of all the other members as well, in helping us continue to look for more resources. Hopefully we'll be back to council soon to look at some additional things to help address some of those resources. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Certainly, I want to recognize from the Human Service Chamber, Michael Corey, who's in the audience this evening. Thank you for your leadership. I know many of the nonprofit organizations that will be receiving funding are members of the Human Service Chamber, and so I thank you for that. Certainly, as Director Shoney mentioned, we had $20 million worth of ask, and we have about $5 million. So you see that there's certainly a significant gap, and from the last time we had this competitive process, the number's even grown. So we know that we were going to have, we've talked to Council President Harden and Michael Corey, we want to begin to talk about how do we get, garner more funds for the human service organizations. We have been at the same $5 million for probably 20 years, and the needs have gotten greater. So working with our colleagues in the community and the administration to think about what do we do to be able to be supportive, to make sure, people have an opportunity to move, to become more prosperous and to have a better quality of life. So I do thank you, Director Shoney, and your team for working with this, especially Kim Stans and his leadership in this regard. Should you want to find out the number of organizations that are receiving funds, certainly you can contact Director Shoney's office. Kim Stans has the list. I have it in front of me. I won't read all the organizations, but we also had a hearing with all these agencies, and before they were able to, before we were passing this legislation, they had to come to council and share with us the purpose of their dollars and what success looked like with these dollars. And so we will be following them throughout this year to see if they are meeting the needs that they communicated to us through this process. And so with that, again, I'm very thankful. And if there are no questions or comments, hopefully these dollars will help people to move and to economic security. So with that, I would move for passage.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. The next ordinance is ordinance number 1222-2019 to authorize and direct the Board of Health to accept a grant from the Celebrate One Community Fund at the Columbus Foundation on behalf of Cardinal Health Foundation to fund the Baby and Me Tobacco-Free Cardinal Grant Program in the amount of $50,000 to authorize the appropriation of $50,000 to the Health Department and the Health Department's grants private grants fund. The Cardinal Grant Program will support initiatives for the Baby and Me Tobacco-Free Program, funded in part by the Ohio Department of Health, Moms Quit for Two Grant Program, the Central Ohio Hospital Council, and Ohio Better Birth Outcomes Collaboration Grant Program at Columbus Public Health. The Baby and Me Tobacco-Free Program aims to improve birth outcomes, reduce low birth weight and preterm birth rates, and increase overall quit rate as a part of a larger strategy to reduce infant mortality. In 2018, 90% of the babies delivered in the Columbus Public Health Program were full-term and healthy, with 95% of the participants remaining smoke-free through the baby's first year of life. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. I'd now like to move to rules and reference. Thank you. I have ordinance number 1171-2019 to amend section 3312.47 of the Columbus Zoning Code in order to codify that off-street parking spaces dedicated to the charging of electric vehicles located at special parking areas shall count as required parking space and shall not count toward the maximum number of parking spaces. I'm going to ask Deputy Director Michael Bowen to please add some comments on this legislation.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson, President Harden, members of council. This ordinance originated out of the Smart Columbus initiative as an effort to incentivize the adoption and use of electric vehicles throughout Columbus. With your support, this legislation will encourage the installation of more electrical vehicle charging stations by changing how these charging stations impact minimum and maximum parking requirements. If this ordinance is passed, electric vehicle charging stations would be included towards the count of the minimum number of parking spaces required for a proposed project, and as it stands right now, they are currently not included in that calculation. Similarly, in certain circumstances, there is a cap or a maximum number of spaces that can be built for a particular project, and in those cases, these charging stations would actually not be counted towards that total. So taken together, we believe that these changes will remove some of the existing barriers to the provision of new electrical vehicle charging stations in Columbus. So thank you for your time and consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Seeing none, I move for passage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Director.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
See no further business to come before council. May I get a motion to adjourn? Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Council meeting is adjourned.